You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
It's a holiday week in New York City, and on the Minor League Baseball podcast, it's a holiday for us as well. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Episode number 85 of the Show Before the Show podcast. I am Tyler Maughan, and the man, like a foot, maybe a foot and a half to my left, Sam Dykstra. Hi, Sam.
2 feet, 2.5 feet, 3 feet.
Now he's running. He's across the hallway. Hi, Sam.
Hi. It's really nice to have you here.
I know, it's nice to be here.
In case people can't tell, we're actually in the same room together.
In the same room, doing the same podcast. It's a rarity, but it's our most special podcast.
Right.
A very special podcast.
Tyler called this the Death Star.
I did, on Twitter.
You said afterwards you meant to call, Google the Death Star.
It was a thinly veiled reference
to
Google across the street because they're watching and listening to our every move, I'm sure, as of right now.
I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but the funny thing about the Google sign across from our building is that it replaced a post office sign.
Oh, really?
So Gmail is literally replacing snail mail.
Wow, that is very fitting.
Yeah.
The metaphors are becoming all too real in society.
If you ever needed a TJ Eichelberg for the modern age, I think that's it.
So, hey, welcome in a live edition of the Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com. I am Tyler Maughan, and he is Sam Dykstra. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and fill your podcasting void. We are on iTunes. We're the Minor League Baseball podcast there, as well as on the Stitcher app, and you can find us at MILB.com/podcast. We're up to, what are we now, 18 ratings on iTunes, I think you said today?
Yep.
Keeping that perfect 5 stars.
Yeah, so that's 90 stars?
90 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be 90 total stars.
Individually, yeah.
Individually.
So if we could get to 100 by Christmas.
That'd be pretty cool.
Or by the New Year. We'll even push it back.
Yeah, we can push it back to the New Year.
100 stars by the New Year.
Yeah.
Which
we only
could
need
mean
2 more ratings.
Yes.
Of 5 stars,
Of
theoretically.
5 stars. That is the
or
way
5 2-star ratings that bring our cumulative way down. Or 10 1-stars of just a bunch of people who really want to get after it for us.
Hey, man, if they want to give us 10 1-star ratings and get to us
to
100,
yeah, that's true. Then we can do it.
They helped us accomplish our goal.
And also, you should probably figure out something else to do with your time than recruiting 9 of your friends to give us a 1-star rating. I actually was doing a little Google search about the podcast the other day and found we were featured on an Indians blog, a Cleveland Indians blog, at the end of last year of listing off some of the author's favorite baseball podcasts and said that we were like a diamond in the rough. He had stumbled upon a gem. I feel like we should follow up with that guy a year later and be like, do you still like us?
So what's your favorite episode? That one I listened to 13 months ago. That one.
That one was really good. Everything since then, I don't know. No, we got a great one coming up for you today. Lewis Brinson, the top-ranked prospect in the Milwaukee Brewers organization, will join the show. We are very excited to talk to Lewis Brinson, the 14th-ranked overall prospect in all of minor league baseball, according to our pals at MLB Pipeline. Excited to talk to Lewis Brinson. We'll talk Thanksgiving. We'll talk 40-man roster additions, of which he was one in a very, very talented class for the Milwaukee Brewers. And we'll talk about the offseason and his first in the Milwaukee Brewers organization since he was brought over to that system from the Texas Rangers this past summer. All that coming up here in just a little bit. And that segues us perfectly into Strike One on this week's edition of Three Strikes. 40-man rosters have been finalized ahead of the 2016 Rule 5 draft. Again, as we get closer to the Rule 5 draft, we'll explain that to you, explain what it means, how it operates, what it entails for guys who are in that situation where they will be exposed to that draft. Because no matter what, year after year, you're still going to be confused by it, because we're still confused by it, because it's kind of a convoluted process. But we'll explain that as we get there a little bit down the road. But 40-man rosters have been finalized. Sam, what stood out to you? That Brewers class, a really, really talented group added to the 40-man roster in Milwaukee, but there are some other standouts as well.
Yeah, so let's just set some basic guidelines on this. Guys who have to be protected from the Rule 5 draft are, if you're 19 or older, you have to have been in pro ball. Or when you signed, if you were 19 or older when you signed, you have to be in pro ball for at least 4 years. Otherwise, you're eligible for the Rule 5 draft. You have to be protected by being added to the 40-man. Or if you were signed at 18 or younger, you have to be in for 5 years. So that's the guideline we're looking at here. And I'm glad you brought up the Brewers. I mean, that's part of the reason why I wanted to have Lewis Brinson on the podcast this week, because their group that they added was just so stacked. You look at Lewis Brinson, a guy who really broke out in 2015, I think, was always considered a pretty special talent in terms of both power and speed, but broke out, climbed 3 levels in 2015. This year wasn't putting up quite the same numbers in the Ranger system, but after the trade just absolutely took off at AAA Colorado Springs. You'll hear him talk about that in a bit. Josh Hader also added. Brett Phillips also added. So those are 2 more top 100 prospects the Brewers now have on their 40-man roster. And Ryan Cordell, a guy who started out really hot last year in the Ranger system, eventually got traded to the Brewer system along with Brinson and Luis Ortiz in the Jonathan Lucroy trade. But what's really interesting to me, and you'll hear Brinson talk a little bit about this. Tyler actually asked him the question. All 4 of these guys who are ranked among top 30 prospects in the Brewer system, all 4 of them came to the Brewer system in trades. Brinson, Cordell came together. Phillips, Hader came together from the Astros. And we're talking about the Brewers as a rebuilding system. They're going to need that young talent. They're going to be competing in a really tough NL Central. So they needed to, ship out some parts and see what they could get back. And now we're starting to see that bear a little fruit. Now, just being added to the 40-man isn't good enough. That's great. They're not going to lose them in the Rule 5 draft. We need to see them produce at a major league level. But, this is a really, really strong class of guys to add. And to see them all grouped together like this was probably the most impressive addition class, I think, of this year. The only other team that I would say potentially rivals it is the Phillies. The Phillies added Nick Williams, who is a top 100 prospect in his own right. Dylan Cousins, Milby Offensive Player of the Year, led all minor league baseball with 40 home runs this year, and also added 21 steals this year for Double-A Reading. Our Mark Appel, a guy whose star is obviously not as bright as it once was, but former top overall pick. Andrew Knapp, a solid catcher, now on that 40-man roster next to Jorge Alfaro. Those two will try to battle it out for who's the catcher of the future in Philly. Ricardo Pinto, Nick Pivetta. I mean, they just added a whole bunch of their young talent. So we're talking about 2 rebuilding farm systems that brought a whole bunch of guys just one step closer. So when I'm looking at this class, those are the groups that kind of stand out to me. Guys like Ahmed Rosario. He's now one step closer to the majors, and I think that's perfectly well within the Mets' plans. I think Asdrubal Cabrera only has 1 year left on his contract. So Rosario is a guy looking at a mid-season call-up, if not end of the season, preparing for 2018 maybe. Francisco Mejia gets rewarded after his big hitting streak in the middle of this year in the Indian system. He gets added. So there are a couple other individuals, but if we're looking at classes, I think the Brewers 40-man roster just got so much more interesting with just one day, I think, last week.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely, as a group, there's really not many teams that can compete with what the Brewers were able to add last week. There are some really interesting names across some other teams, but no collection of talent quite like that elsewhere. One of the systems that really stands out to me with just a couple of names added to the 40-man roster, the Toronto Blue Jays add outfielder Anthony Alford and shortstop Richard Urania. The thing with Anthony Alford, he was a football player, obviously, started his career, I believe, at Ole Miss and then transferred to Southern Miss, played, anyway, got signed, was kind of doing the 2-sport thing for a while, now focusing on baseball, and he's really, really taken off. Played in the Australian Baseball League last offseason, Arizona Fall League this year. The athleticism with him, as good as with anybody in the game of baseball, really, and a very, very high ceiling, especially now that he has started to focus strictly on baseball. It seems like it's coming along as quickly as you would have expected it to at the beginning of his career when he was still doing the 2-sport thing, so he is really impressive. Urania is only 20 years old, which is really cool, too. The Tampa Bay Rays added a group of guys that I think, similarly to the way you described Mark Appel, the stars have fallen a little bit on guys like Willie Adames and Daniel Robertson that haven't, especially in Robertson's case, haven't ascended maybe as quickly as you would have thought this time a year or 2 years ago. But there are intriguing names in other classes, but nobody as a group quite as good as that Milwaukee group. Another name to keep an eye on just because it's a great name and it's fun to say. And the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, Dovydas Neverauskas, who is attempting to be the first Lithuanian major leaguer, I believe, which just gave me an excuse to say his name on the podcast, and that's really all I was looking for.
And I think you nailed it.
Dovydas Neverauskas.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And when people say, how do you say that name, say Neverauskas.
I laughed too hard. I'm really.
That was a very Ben Hill joke that I just made.
I know, and I fed right into it. I saw it coming, and I did nothing.
He's gonna do the pun thing.
Oh no!
Don't listen to him. But yeah, no, really good group for the old Milwaukee Brewers, and the Philadelphia Phillies. I think are the other ones that, like you said, I think that group comes close, maybe not quite as good as what the Brewers were able to throw up on that list.
Yeah, and that me mentioning them is for that one guy on Twitter who, when I said the Brewers have the best 40-man class of the year, the guy's like, "Have you seen the Phillies?" No, I hadn't seen them. Yes, I've seen the Phillies. This is my job. I know what.
Everything good starts with that one guy on Twitter.
Yes.
Also, wasn't it the guy on Twitter? Wasn't it a guy on Twitter who said that we were bad because we only talked about the Cubs system while the Cubs were on the way to winning the World Series, and we didn't talk about the Brewers?
And now,
so
here we go.
Angry Brewers fans. Thanks, Wisconsin. You're really in our good graces as of the last 2 weeks anyway. Strike two this week, Sam. Organization All-Stars we continue to roll out on the site. My next one will be the Seattle Mariners. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a fun one to cover, but I haven't actually written an Org All-Stars in the last couple of weeks. We've had really good ones rolling out, though. I like that because it gives me a chance to read everybody else's good work. The Minnesota Twins, the New York Mets, a couple of our recent releases. The New York Mets are an interesting system because for so long it was all about the arms. It was all Matt Harvey and Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom and all of these guys that were coming up. Now, there are a lot of bats on the way in that system. And the Twins, a system that produced some of the best talent in minor league baseball in Miguel Sano and in Byron Buxton. Jose Barrios obviously has been a topic of conversation on the podcast in the past as well. That system is really, really interesting now, too. And two systems that I think come with a decent amount of question marks, but the promise in them is still really high-level promise.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I think these two match up really well and why I want to talk about them a little bit this week. I think you set it up very well there. I wouldn't say either the Mets or the Twins are, a top five system anymore, but especially with the Mets, you're looking at some really, really top talent. I think Ahmad Rosario, you can probably put up next to, any shortstop prospect in the game at this point for both offensive and defensive promise. You put him right next to a guy like Gleyber Torres or, something like that. The way he was able to, grow this year, specifically offensively, they sent him back to Class A Advanced St. Lucie, and there he hit 309, hit even better at AA Binghamton, hitting 341 there. So he's grown into not just like a prospect who might work out, he's grown into an actual guy. Dominic Smith is kind of that light. I mean, we were always worried about his power coming into the year. This was a first base prospect who hadn't shown much, if any, power at the other levels. This year he hits 14 homers, hits 302 with an 824 OPS. So those are two guys who you could kind of easily see fitting into Queens in the years going forward. Like you said, we're so used to talking about who's the next big Mets pitching prospect. Well, these are some hitters you can kind of focus on. Not to mention, Brandon Nimmo had a really good year at AAA Las Vegas. TJ Rivero nipped him for the batting title in Las Vegas, for the PCL batting title. So there's other guys around as well. Not to sleep on, the Mets arms. I think we learned last year, Seth Lugo and Robert Gesellman, neither of, nobody would have thought they were going to be solid contributors down the stretch for a playoff team. And, they are a playoff contending team, and they proved to be just that. So, even the guys we're talking about now, there might be some more diamonds in the rough that we haven't even seen yet. They haven't completed their developmental process. To pivot over to the Twins, they're just really fascinating, and I don't want to use this quote without giving it the proper attribution. Over on Fangraphs, they've been doing their own ranking of prospects, and you can check those out as well to kind of supplement our coverage, Pipeline's coverage, Baseball America. There's so much depth of knowledge out there on this kind of stuff, but for Fangraphs, they're right up at the Twins prospect. They put it this way: the system is more interesting than it is good or deep, which is just a fascinating way to put this. I don't disagree at all. I think that's 100% true. But we there's still that lingering effect of the Twin system when it was one of the best in the game, when Byron Buxton was still a prospect, Miguel Sano was still a prospect, Alex Meyer looked like a really, really good pitching prospect now with the Angels. That has kind of lost. It's lost its luster a little bit. Not to say that there aren't solid guys there. I mean, I think Nick Gordon has every chance to be a very good to solid, major league shortstop, and we've seen how valuable that can be these past few years. And Steven Gonzalez, isn't a guy who's throwing heat like everybody else, but he's surely shown that he can rack up strikeouts anywhere he goes. He's split his time this year between Class A Advanced Fort Myers and Double A Chattanooga. Jose Barrios, I'm still a major believer in Jose Barrios. I wish the Twins can kind of figure out what is wrong with him at the major league level, but he just has so many pitches, and he's been so dominant at AAA, and he's still, anytime you talk to him, he's got that confidence. I hope he never loses it. I'm a believer in him. So there are the pieces there. I'm not down on the Twin system by any means, but it's not exactly the one that you might be thinking of if you've been following the game for the last 2 or 3 years.
Organization All-Stars continue this week. By the time this episode is posted, the Oakland Athletics All-Stars will be up for the 2016 season. New York Yankees are coming soon as well, and then we'll continue on into December as we get toward the end of the 2016 calendar year, thank God. Let's move on to Strike 3, and it is a holiday week. And like I said, we're going to be talking with Lewis Brinson of the Milwaukee Brewers organization soon. We'll discuss some Thanksgiving-related things with him. But Sam, I think we did this last year too, and we'll do it every year as long as we've got this podcast, because it's a good time to take this moment and reflect. Thanksgiving, we obviously try to focus on the things that we are happiest about and we are most thankful for in the world. And in the world of minor league baseball, there's a lot of that stuff. But for you, what are you thankful for in this bizarre and wacky industry in which we find ourselves?
Yeah, I think just the bizarreness and the wackiness of it. We have, we're lucky enough to be around this as a job, and I'm always thankful for that, to think about like what I get to do every day, and I get to follow a game that I've been following since I knew what a bat and ball was. So I'm thankful for that first and foremost. I'm thankful to you, Tyler, Ben, everybody we work with for making this such a good environment to work in, comfortable one to work in, one that allows us to be ourselves, flex our muscles a little bit, be ourselves both amongst each other and in our writing. You guys, the readers, or in this case, the listeners, it's always fun to get kind of the feedback that we do. Some of you guys I know are very loyal listeners and reach out to us a bunch, and we always try to express our thanks, whether it's May or November, but now I really want to make sure that's driven home. Is if you've ever reached out to us, complimented us, or just had any kind of comment on the podcast, we always welcome it. Just don't be too trolly. We're not going to be thankful for trolls, but generally speaking, the reaction we've had to this, the reaction we have to our work, I think has been pretty positive. And at a time right now when a lot of us are searching for whatever positives we can get, this little hour and a half, 2 hours of my week every week is definitely one of those positives. And I'm grateful, for everybody who reaches out to us, all the guests we've ever had who've been gracious with their time, all of that stuff. That's what I think about when I think about what I'm thankful for in this job specifically.
I don't know if I can say anything to add to that. I feel like that nails
I can say something about baseball, and that I'm thankful for there's new names every year, and it's always keeping us on our toes.
That's true.
It's a good thing about the minors is just when you get to think somebody, you get thrown a curveball, and it's not the same. We're not sitting here. I love Mike Trout, but we're not sitting here talking about a Mike Trout figure every year. We're constantly having to learn new draft classes, new breakout prospects, that kind of thing. I enjoy that part of the job. So if you wanted something baseball related, there it is.
There you go. No, like I said, I don't know if I can add anything to that. I mean, I echo. I don't want to be cliche athlete speak guy, but really none of this would be possible if it wasn't for all of you who tune in every week and subscribe to the podcast and download the podcast and give us a rating and a review and all that stuff on iTunes and wherever else you find us. Without that, we wouldn't be able to continue doing this. And I remember actually when we started this podcast, it was kind of a let's see how this goes, and if we find a vein with it, then we'll be able to keep rolling. And since then, I mean, we're 2 years in now. We've had a whole tremendous amount of fun being able to do it, and we continue to evolve, and getting feedback from you guys is fantastic for us. So without you, we wouldn't be anywhere with this, and so that to me stands out as the thing that I appreciate the absolute most. But yeah, I mean, from a baseball sense and a minor league baseball sense, I mean, I am very thankful that we get to do work in the thing that everybody else turns to distract themselves from life. I think that, to me, when I worked, my very first job in minor league baseball was the radio voice, one of the radio voices for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and one of my very best friends who was in stadium ops with us that year, named Brendan Rose, who used to work for the Pawtucket Red Sox and then was in Myrtle Beach for a little while, and now lives back in Rhode Island with his wife and his 2 kids. Brendan, every day when we would come to the ballpark, and you got home the night before at 12:15, you're back at the ballpark at 7:30 to pull the tarp, whatever it is, the stuff that anybody who works in the industry of minor league baseball knows, the days you just regret, the days that you so badly don't look forward to. Those days, Brendan would be the first guy there to say to me, "Hey man, it beats working in a cubicle." And that, no offense to anybody who does so, working a job that isn't necessarily what they felt like they were going to find or what they were going to end up doing. I mean, Sam and I are never going to be driving around in Teslas, but this is, what would you trade for? I wouldn't trade anything for this. And so that is what I'm immensely thankful for on a daily basis, that we get, to do this. We get to do something that we love for work, and it wouldn't be possible without all of you who tune in, all of you who read our stuff, the people, players' families who reach out to us. When I get players' moms and dads that follow me on Twitter and tweet thanks for a story that I wrote. And, similarly, the stuff, we don't get a chance to know these guys for long before they graduate to bigger and better things. But when you're out watching Chris Bryant mash dingers in the World Series, and you think about the day when you got a chance to interview him in the clubhouse in Mesa prior to his rookie season in the major leagues and talk to him about what it was like growing up with Joey Gallo and Bryce Harper, before these guys are the names that everybody knows, they're the names that we know as the people who work on this side of it, and that you know as the people who nerd out on the prospect side of it. And we love you for that, and we love those guys for that, and so I'm really thankful for that. And yeah, like you said, this is one of those stretches in life where it feels like we're all kind of reaching to find that stuff, and so it feels good to be able to talk about something that you love and be able to make a little bit of a living in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I have my version of the Chris Bryant thing is Mike Trout. To have 2 MVPs. One of my first assignments when I started working here, my first season back in 2012, Mike Trout scored from first on a single. And we were just like, that's crazy enough to be a story. So I wrote it up, and Mike, I was told by Salt Lake that Mike was going out to dinner with his parents, and can you text us the questions? We'll do it that way. And that's obviously not desirable. You don't want to get text responses, but as I'm typing out my first question, Mike Trout calls me back, and that's now a story I have forever and ever. I think my dad might have framed that one, actually, because we were still in that phase of our Sam has a job live.
You love that when your parents are just like stunned that you're doing something that contributes to society.
He printed out a story from the internet and put it in a frame. That's how we work. But hey, it's good to still have analog things as well.
Oh man. So we are thankful for you guys, and we're thankful for all that stuff. And hey, you could tweet into us and let us know what you're thankful for. Maybe we'll spend some time on Thanksgiving going through those, and trying to feel good about the fact that baseball season seems like a very, very long way off as of right now. But hey, pitchers and catchers are reporting in what is this now? 2 months, basically. No, 3 months.
Three months.
It's the second week in a row that I've done that.
Yeah, that's
right?
okay.
Didn't I do that last week? It was only 2 months until February.
I would have forgotten it if you did. So let's just pretend you didn't.
I'm good.
This is like a new problem.
I'm good that way. 3 months. 3 months. 3 long, cold months. No. We're thankful for all of you. That's the moral of the story. So, hey, that wraps up this week's edition of Three Strikes, and we are really excited for this week's interview on the 85th episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Lewis Brinson, the top-ranked prospect in the Milwaukee Brewers organization and baseball's 14th overall prospect, joins the show, getting set for the 2017 season, his first full campaign in the Milwaukee system. Lewis Brinson coming up next. Thanksgiving week brings us to a guy who has a lot to be thankful for as of just the last week or so. It's the top-ranked prospect in the Milwaukee Brewers organization, outfielder Lewis Brinson, who joins the show on his way to hit because things don't even stop during a holiday week. Lewis, how much do you have to hit today and this week in order to be able to just eat whatever you want on Thursday and as much of it as possible?
Probably every single day. Even Thursday morning. I ask the cages to stay open for us, just for just for a couple pro guys, we'll go hit early in the morning and then head to our family's houses to go eat. So I'm pretty excited about that.
So tell us about, just the way that this offseason has been so far. Obviously going to hit now, you're staying in a routine or getting into a routine, that you've been part of for the last few years as a professional. But what's it been like from, the first couple of weeks of September, season ending up until now?
It's been great. Finally having some time to kind of relax and unwind from the season. Kind of a long season, an eventful season, as you guys could know. We're going on to another team, learning a whole new system and all new teammates and friends. So it's nice to come home after the long season and just kind of break, really. I took a cruise right when I got back just to kind of get my mind off baseball a little bit and obviously watch the World Series as that was going on. So I was home most of September. I took all of September off and the first couple weeks in October and kind of kicked it up training-wise and hitting-wise maybe mid-October. Yeah, mid-October, and been training, getting after it hard ever since.
And obviously last week was a pretty big week for you. You get officially added to the Brewers 40-man roster heading into your first offseason with that organization. But what was that conversation like, or was it even a conversation? Did they just call you and say, hey, by the way, this is official now? How does that process kind of work itself out?
Well, first of all, I'm thankful for the Brewers for putting me on the 40-man. It's a big step in my career, and, it's something I've been waiting for, since I got drafted. So I want to thank them for, first of all, trading for me and believing in me to even consider me put me on the 40-man. But, it's a great kind of anticipation leading up to it because obviously everybody knows when the deadline is, if you're that guy that's supposed to get protected that year, if it's your protection year. So it's definitely a cool process going through it, seeing your name kind of on TV every now and then and, seeing people talk about you as one of the top prospects in the game. And I've always told people that I take that to heart. I'm very honored and blessed that people see me as that high of a caliber of player because I really see myself as that high caliber of player for many years to come, God willing. But, it was just a simple process. They called me, told me, congratulations and, keep working hard. I told them I was actually in Alabama when they called me at a wedding, so I wasn't working hard at that moment, but, I was, I told them everything was going well, and thank you for the opportunity.
And with the group that you were added with, I mean, there was you, there was Josh Hader, Brett Phillips, Ryan Cordell, a guy from the Rangers system. That might be the most impressive group of guys that were added to a 40-man roster. You've only spent a couple months with this organization, but one of the first guys you tweeted at was Brett Phillips saying God is good. What is it like being part of that group? How have you kind of made yourself a part of that group in these past few months?
Oh, I'm very blessed to know all four of those guys. Well, all three of those guys. I really haven't met Taylor yet, but, I'm sure I'll meet him at spring training. But, Cordell, I don't think he gets enough credit, man. Ryan Cordell is one of the best players I've ever played with and the most athletic players I've ever played with. So I don't think that man gets enough credit. So I'm just putting that out there. You guys need to give him more credit, man. He is, if not the best, one of the best outfielders, in the minor leagues right now and soon to be in the big leagues. So I give him, a lot of credit. I hope he's listening to this wherever he's at. But, those three guys, Brett and Josh, man, those are great dudes. I met them in the fall league last year, and obviously very talented dudes, very good people. And, I'm just very blessed and very humbled to be able to go on the 40-man and really start our careers together, all at the same time. And like I said, I'm very excited to be with the Brewers organization. A lot of good people so far. I was only there for a month, but all the AAA guys were awesome. But those guys that got put on, man, those are great teammates and great players. So they're very deserving of that honor.
Lewis, just sticking on that topic before we talk a little bit about your 2016 season, you guys are part of a group, you mentioned two guys there in Ryan and Brett who are also trade acquisitions, and that's got to be an interesting brotherhood bond to kind of form with guys who have been through the same sort of thing that you've been through. And, for Brett Phillips, he goes through it a little bit before you guys do. do you feel like you share a little bit of camaraderie with those guys because you know what it feels like now to, come to the Brewers organization as guys who are going to be viewed very much as part of the future there, and also guys who have gone through that trade process? I mean, how do you relate with guys who have experienced that same sort of thing?
Oh, obviously I'm going to be honest, I really didn't think it was going to happen. I thought there was a possibility. But the Rangers had to do what the Rangers had to do. They had to win right then and there. And, they did what they thought was right for the team thus far. And, I've said this to many people many times. I thank them for everything they've done for me, and the coaching staff and JD and all those guys in the front office for even giving me an opportunity to start my career first and foremost. But, those guys coming from a different organization, kind of picking their brain on how to kind of acclimate to the new team and what to say, what not to say, and, who to kind of meet first. Obviously, the manager's the first guy you want to meet and say hi to. But, having that camaraderie a little bit, coming from a different team, now that I know what it's like, it forms a little bit more of a bond, I'd say.
All right, so let's talk about 2016 a little bit. So you're with the Rangers, 77 games you spend with AA Frisco. When you get traded to the Brewers organization, instead of going to AA Biloxi, they bump you up to AAA Colorado Springs. And the thing that's really impressive is not just the difference in offensive numbers. I mean, obviously everybody's going to say Colorado Springs, you're going to be a better hitter no matter what. But you jump to a higher level, the highest level of the minor leagues, and it's not like the ballpark or the altitude or the atmosphere can account for it, because you bat basically 155 points higher at the AAA level than at the AA level, but everything across the board was impressive for you. 23 games with Colorado Springs, the OPS over 1,000 in your first taste in AAA. Was there something that changed? Was there an approach or anything that was different for you when you got to the Brewers organization, or did it just kind of feel like things clicked last year toward the end of the summer?
When I came back from that first injury, the shoulder injury, I was starting to get hot. I was starting to see the ball well and kind of feel out my swing. Obviously, starting off the year, I wanted to start off better. Everybody does, but baseball is a tricky game, a weird game sometimes. So, but like I said, when I came back from the injury, I was starting to get hot, starting to feel it a little bit, and obviously that's right when the trade happened, and I just kind of carried it over to Colorado Springs. I don't think the altitude really had anything to do with it, because I was squaring balls up to center field, and they were getting caught. So either I was tired or the wind was going in that day. But I just think, I got hot at the right time. End of the season, you kind of trying to finish strong. Obviously, season hadn't gone the way I planned on it. Getting to a new team, you want to put in a good impression, to your new teammates and just the organization as a whole, just to kind of give them justification that they made the right move. Obviously, it's not going to pan out until I get to the big leagues, but just to kind of give them a little taste and kind of give myself the confidence of coming over to a new team and really getting the hot start going. It was really good for me, and it felt great to get it going like that.
Well, the interesting thing for me was looking at this season and comparing it to 2015, because 2015 kind of had a similar thing for you, where you got called up to AAA at the very end of the year, only played 8 games for Round Rock, but were really hot for them going into the playoffs. You do the same thing this year. How are you a different player, over this last year? What lesson have you particularly learned, in this year, discounting the trade, just on the field stuff? How are you a different player now at the end of 2016 than you were at the end of 2015?
That's a tough question. 2015 was kind of the turning point for me. Just trusting myself and really, going into every game, just really trusting my abilities and, telling myself, listen, you're good enough to play with anybody and face any pitcher. So don't really get down on yourself. If something doesn't go your way, you got to pick yourself back up and try not to get too down, try not to get too high, just kind of stay even keel. And, I really told myself 2015, and obviously it showed. And then 2016, getting off to a rough start, I picked myself out of the hole. I really pat myself on the back for that. That could have turned into a disastrous season, even with the trade. But I didn't get too down on myself. I trusted my abilities, and had a good month and a half last month with the Brewers. And I think I'm just a more of a mature player, so to speak. Being in the minors, playing pro ball for 4.5, 5 years now, you kind of learn some things from yourself and from other players. Veteran players, coaches, everybody really trying to pick their brains. So I think I'm more of a mature player, kind of knowing what kind of player I'm going to be and what, trying not to do too much. So kind of really feeling out what kind of player I want to be and what kind of player I'm going to be for years to come.
And, just kind of looking a little bit forward to 2017, obviously it's going to be your first spring training with the Brewers, but it's also going to be your first spring training as a guy on the 40-man. What do you expect is going to be different about that experience, not just a guy who's getting, a major league invite to spring training for the team to get you a taste of what things are like? It's going to be as a full-fledged, roster member, maybe even potentially competing for a spot in Milwaukee.
I don't think anything's going to change. The only thing that's going to change is the name on the front of the jersey. Obviously, I'm with a different team. Mindset is still the same, no matter what team I'm going to be with, in my years to come as a big leaguer. But, mindset is still the same. Go out there, play hard every day, play 100%, no matter what, and, give it your all. And I know that's very cliche, but, that's just how my mind works. That's how I was raised by my mom. That's how my hitting coaches taught me. That's how really everybody that has been in my corner has taught me. Just keep the same mindset. Whatever's working, if it's working, don't fix it, So I'm just going to go with the same mindset. I'm going to try to go in there and really show the Brewers that they made the right move when they got me in the trade. And, I'm going to take it from there. Whatever happens from there happens. I'm going to control what I can control.
Lewis, there is a kind of a gathering storm of momentum in that Brewers system right now. And, being in Maryvale last spring, you could sort of sense it. But with the pickups this year, the 40-man class in itself shows how much talent there really is in that organization right now. And really difficult division, obviously. World Series champions coming out of that division. The Cardinals are always going to be good. The Pirates are going to be good. The Reds have some pieces going forward. But even in your limited time in the system, are you able to tell right now just what that energy feels like? I mean, how excited guys are around you for how close there is, toward there being another window of contention opening up in Milwaukee. What's that like right now?
Oh, definitely. Obviously, the ultimate goal is to win the World Series. And there was a few guys in AAA that were on the cusp and having really good years. And they could kind of sense it from being in the organization for a few years and with the trades that Milwaukee has made over the years. And you can kind of sense it that there's some good things coming in Milwaukee in the next couple of years. Obviously, going through kind of a rebuilding stage, if you want to call it that. But, I think we have a pretty good chance next year. I can't speak because I haven't been up there, but, my ultimate goal is to win. Win every game. Obviously, you can't win all of them, but you're going to put your best effort to win the ones that you're supposed to win, the ones that you can win. So, obviously, like I said, tough division, World Series champs. Congratulations to the Cubs. 105 years or whatever it was, but that was awesome to see. But tough division, like you said, a lot of good teams. Everybody's a good team. So, what's brewing in the minor leagues is very exciting for fans. I think fans should be very excited about it, and I'm definitely excited about it. All the young guys are that are going to be a part of it. So everybody's very excited. I really haven't gotten, like I said, I was only there for a month. So I really haven't gotten the feel of the whole organization, but just from AAA and, talking to David Stearns and Tom Flanagan, it seems like they're very excited about this next group, this next wave coming up to the big leagues.
All right, Lewis, we'll wrap it up with this one and then send you back out to the cages. But just to bring things full circle here, we started out talking about Thanksgiving and your plans. So we might as well ask, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? Not turkey, but what is your favorite go-to this upcoming Thursday?
I'm not even turkey guy, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Okay, well.
I'll have a couple strips of turkey just because it's Thanksgiving. I think it'd be against tradition not to have turkey. But my mom's stuffing and my mom's ham. She kind of coats it. I can't tell you. She'd kick me out of the family if I told you guys.
Right, yeah.
But her ham and stuffing, that is what I'm looking forward to on Thursday.
All right, you're a good son.
Yeah.
You're a good son.
Keeping the family secrets, loyal to the ham.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. But
Oh,
as
yeah.
impressed as I am with anything baseball related with Lewis Brinson, now we know stuffing and ham. I'm impressed by the Thanksgiving loyalty. Lewis Brinson, the top prospect in the Milwaukee Brewers organization, blew up last year in his final month of the season with AAA Colorado Springs and a lot on the horizon in 2017. Lewis, we can't thank you enough for joining us Thanksgiving week, and enjoy the holiday and enjoy getting ready for next season, man. Best of luck.
All right. Thank you, guys.
We've had a handful of episodes in recent months in which I've been in the office, and I feel like Benjamin Hill and I have missed each other those times. But today, the three-man band is back together for the first time. Hi, Ben.
If we're back together for the first time,
For the first time in a long time.
yeah,
It's a new and improved podcast.
yeah, well,
Jumbo Shrimp is now an actual team name, so speaking of contradictions in themselves.
yeah. So we speak in contradictions, we
Yeah.
speak in oxymorons,
Right.
And everyone's doing the mannequin challenge. Can you guys put in that Black Beatles song for me?
Yeah.
When you introduce my segment.
We should have done that. I just took pictures of you two and posted you on the old tweet machine. I should have done something related to the mannequin challenge.
I just had that song in my head all day.
Oh, okay.
Haters mad for whatever reason.
Can we just put like a 1 minute silence into the podcast and just have everybody assume
Say
we're
that was our
frozen in
mannequin
place?
challenge.
Yeah.
Our mannequin challenge is just nothing but dead air on the podcast. No, it's really good. It's really good radio. So, hey, Ben. Okay, so last week, Sam and I kind of broke down the new name of the former New Orleans Zephyrs, and a longtime minor league franchise, longtime minor league team named the Zephyrs, and that they were named the Zephyrs in a previous city before they moved to New Orleans. Now the New Orleans Baby Cakes. We're not going to get too far into it because we talked about it last week, but to kind of wrap this up and get the guru's take on it, Baby Cakes. I mean, a lot of these have been outlandish, and this may top the list of that.
You know, I really think it probably does, and it probably tops the list because New Orleans is such a large market. So you're talking about a team name and a rebranding that no matter what it was is naturally going to get more attention than the Binghamtons of the world, and, you know, no disrespect to the Binghamtons of the world. But when you're dealing with like a major market such as that, and you're talking about changing the team name, you're going to get a lot of attention, and when you go at that outlandish you know, you get what I'm sure the team was expecting. But I think, again, we're kind of a broken record with this, but the Zephyrs are a team that struggles to draw. They don't play in the city proper. I've been to New Orleans a couple times and talked to people who live there, and there doesn't seem to be the greatest awareness of Zephyrs baseball. So even if people are hating on this name, they're talking about this minor league team probably for the first time in years, if not for their lives, a lot of them. Of course, it's a dedicated fan base. But a lot of the general chatter goes beyond that, and that's the name of the game. I mean, it's hard. You're in New Orleans. You're art and culture and food in a big city. Who's talking about a minor league baseball team in Metairie?
You're competing with an NBA team. You're competing with an NFL team. I mean, yeah, you have to start the conversation
And
somewhere.
is it Metairie or Metairie? I was there, and I forget.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. How far outside of New Orleans actually is that, to give people some perspective?
Oh, it's only like 6 or 7 miles.
But it's not like you're down near. They're not playing at the foot of the Superdome.
No, and you're not in the French Quarter, and there aren't jazz bands walking by and all that kind of. There's no sense of being in New Orleans when you go to a Zephyrs game. Although Graham Parsons was buried in the town of Metairie.
Interesting.
Metairie.
Somebody email in and tell us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one other one that obviously New Orleans is big on the map, but one place I don't think a lot of people knew about necessarily was, I want to get this right, Buies Creek, which is now going to be the home of the Astros Class A Advanced affiliate the next 2 seasons until they get up to Fayetteville. What can you kind of tell us about that move and the decision to go with just Buies Creek Astros? Nothing too fancy there.
Well, you know, I was out of town last week, so I actually missed out on covering the New Orleans Baby Cakes as well as the Buies Creek Astros. And while I was very happy to get a break from our minor league reality and our minor league existence, and just a break from the world as a whole, I didn't get our good friend Danny Wild wrote about these stories, so I didn't get a lot of these things out of the horse's mouth. But the Buies Creek Astros are owned by the Astros, and they just might have wanted to take a conservative approach to the name and logos and uniforms. And also, it's a temporary thing. They're playing at a facility that was built in the 40s that they're sharing with Campbell University. It was the result of an extensive search to find a placeholder until a new stadium is built in Fayetteville. So if you are going to do a rebranding and you're going to be the next Fire Frogs or Rumble Ponies or Baby Cakes, if and when you want to do that, it's probably in conjunction with the opening of a new stadium in the market in which you'll be based in for the long term, as opposed to playing at like a 70-year-old college facility as a stopgap for 2 years. So I think it just made sense to go conservative in this case. And
that facility is the home of the Fighting Camels of Campbell University.
I was thinking that. We're talking about this conservative minor league name, and they're sharing it with a baseball team named the Fighting Camels, which sounds perfect for minor league baseball.
If they moved on and they became the Fayetteville Fighting Camels, people would think, well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, but it already exists in nearby Buies Creek, and it is tough. I have to admit, I was on vacation. I saw the news. I was trying to avoid work stuff, but I said, hey, I have to know this. And my first thought was like, Buies.
Yeah,
Buies. It's Buies.
Right.
And I think that joins the Louisville Bats as the only team name in minor league baseball with 3 consecutive vowels.
Interesting.
I think that was asked on Twitter in my absence last week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, now here's a question for you, which was not on our pre-show prep list, so I'm just going to throw this at you. But because there's a trend, I guess if you can call 2 a trend here, and with Buies Creek, it may not be long-lasting, but the 2 teams that will be added to the Carolina League are now named for geographic regions, and they are not named for specific towns, although they will be going to specific towns. The Kinston team, the Down East Wood Ducks, now the Buies Creek Astros. There's also the former club from Brevard County, which will be the Florida Fire Frogs in the Florida State League, also geographically named in terms of a region, a state. Do you think that's a coming trend now? Are we going to start seeing, rather than just a specific city, a specific town name, does it seem like teams are going to start trying to branch out to expand themselves to a regional feel in that regard?
I'm not sure if we could call it a trend, but you do see it sometimes in smaller markets, especially, Kinston is one of the smallest full-season markets in minor league baseball, and while a lot of people are up in arms, as we've talked about in the past, about Down East being in the name, and Kinston's not even in the Down East, the thought behind that is if we just say we're Kinston, we might have a harder time marketing to people beyond the Kinston region, and if Kinston is a comparatively small town of 20,000 people, you kind of want to throw your name out there in a way that says, hey, even if you're from 30, 40, 50 miles away, this is your town as well. So I don't know if it's a trend per se, but we definitely have seen it happening a few times. Obviously an extreme case with the Florida Fire Frogs playing in the Florida State League and just saying, hey, we're Florida.
Which I also find interesting because there was a major league team that took the name Florida, and they ended up switching to being a city in the Miami Marlins. So now there's a minor league team that just decides we'll take the whole state. The Marlins don't want it, we'll just take the whole state. The Fire Frogs. Good on you, Fire Frogs. Sam?
Yeah, no, I when you asked the question, I wanted to look up a fact about Buies Creek. And let me just read. It's from Wikipedia, so take that for whatever it's worth. Buies Creek is a census-designated place, or CDP for short, located in the Neals Creek Township of Harnett County, North Carolina. So it's not even like a town or a city. It's just, here's where a bunch of people are, 2,942 in 2010. And this is, like, the census has just decided this is a spot now. So that's what the Astros advanced team will be playing in next year.
Yeah, and it's a spot with a minor league baseball team. Who knew? I mean, I knew that the search was far and wide. I knew that they had tried to rule out going to Granger Stadium and sharing that facility with the Wood Ducks, but I was surprised that what they did find was a 70-year-old facility in a census-designated place. And
Fighting Camels already taken.
Yeah, the Fighting Camels were already there. They got to share it with the Fighting Camels, so hey.
Ben, we just passed Milby time, and now busy time, in which we get to hear about some of the best in minor league baseball on the business side that we may have missed or may not have covered in the Milbys. Tell us about the Busies for the 2016 season.
Well, this is an award that I essentially made up, the Busies, the B-I-Z-Z-Ys, because as you guys know from talking to me every week, it takes me a little bit of time after the season to finally finish every single bit of road trip content that I have, and I have done that earlier this month, completed all my road road trip posts. So kind of in conjunction with that is kind of a celebratory nod that the off season has truly arrived for me. I just make up my own set of awards. This is the third year I've done it, and I just pick random categories and random things just as a way to highlight some of the stranger or just more unique or heartwarming or who knows what things on the road. So you can check that out on the webpage, MILB.com, the webpage. Check it out on the web.
To Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, but look up Busy Awards, Bizzy or Bizzies, I guess if we're talking apostrophes, the Ben's Busies on MILB.com. I have Best Use of Sunblock, Best Dressed League President. What's up, Charlie Blaney of the California League? I love. I fell in love with Shelly the Pistachio, so I had to give her a nod for sure. I got Bluefield's Super Loud Fan on there. I mean, I'm just Roscoe the Wrestling Rooster. I wrote this a couple weeks ago, and now I'm reading it as if I didn't write it, and I love everything about it. So check it out, the Busies. I saw a lot of great things on the road. I'm done writing about it. Ben's Biz blog, as always, has plenty of that stuff. We've switched to Medium, a new blog provider. I'm in the process of getting that set up now, and hopefully it'll be a better experience for all. But you can check out all my road trip posts, and coming very soon, off-season content, our favorite kind of content, except for in-season content.
And Ben, we'll let you go on this one. We covered this earlier in the show. We did what we were thankful for because it's Thanksgiving week, so we have to ask you, in the minor league landscape, this 2016 year, this 2016 season, what have you been thankful for, so far this season, these first 11 months of the year?
Just in the year 2016 as a whole?
Or whatever.
Or in the world,
whatever.
in
You
the
can
world
expand
of
it out.
minor league
Yeah.
baseball?
No, we're not going to tell you you can't be thankful for something that happened in 2014.
We're going to hold you down.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Guys were never supposed to go off script. What am I thankful for? In the world of minor league baseball, this sounds cliche, but the fact that I still am able to do this and make a living exploring America through minor league baseball. The people who get in touch with me, Twitter at Ben's Biz, through the blog, and say, hey, I like what you do, or say, hey, like I told my friends about it, or say, hey, I even wore a Ben's Biz t-shirt. I don't want to make it about self-promotion, but this has kind of been an unlikely thing that I've done from the very beginning. It didn't have a master plan. It's evolved over almost a decade now, and I still feel like there's so much more room to grow. So I'm thankful that I'm still able to get to grow this niche. And if you like minor league baseball, exploring America through minor league baseball, pop culture, the weirdo margins of baseball and pop culture and America, then thank you for joining me in this journey, and I hope it continues, and I am really thankful for all of that.
There you have it. He is Benjamin Hill. He is on Twitter at Ben's Biz, and you can tell him how thankful you are for Ben there. As soon as we get done with this segment, we're going to do the same and give Ben an awkward hug. And you can also check out the blog, bensbiz.mlblogs.com, which, as Ben noted, we're switching over to Medium for all of the MILB blogs, so hopefully a better reading and viewing experience for all of you once we get that transition completed. And we are thankful for you, buddy.
Oh, thanks. You guys are really
Listen
sweet.
to that. It's like an audible, because we're together, you can
Audible
actually hear me
backslap.
patting you on the back.
Yeah.
We don't have to throw in the sound
Usually
effects
we
like
add
do
the
every other
backslapping
week.
sound effects, but today this is real. This is organic.
Genuine
This is
backslapping.
real organic backslapping. Now cue some Race Rummard, some Black Beatles, so I can leave.
Bye, Ben. All right, we're going to get out of here. The final segment of the 85th episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. You can find us again on iTunes. We're on the Stitcher app, and we are at MILB.com/podcast. Sam is on Twitter. He is at Sam Dykstra, MILB, and I'm going to wrap this episode by asking you the same thing that you asked Lewis Brinson.
Oh, okay, because I was going to ask you.
Okay.
We can't get out of this
No.
without asking ourselves the same thing we asked Lewis Brinson.
Well, tell me not only your favorite side, but give me the Dykstra family Thanksgiving rundown.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think this we definitely did last year, but
Yeah,
I'm going to go
but
over
we
it
got-
again.
we gotta do this.
Yeah.
We gotta do this.
Yeah.
This is
If
an
people
annual
want to
rite of
listen to
passage.
both and then compare, that's
Right.
fine. Call me on my bluff if I lied. No, so the Dykstra family Thanksgiving is we go down to Connecticut where my mom is from, her hometown. We have it with her family, and we have a really cool tradition in which me and my mom participate in what's called the Manchester Road Race. It's the second biggest in terms of people, second biggest race in all of New England behind the Boston Marathon. About 12,000 people do it. It's about 4.5 miles. Goes through my mom's hometown. What I really like about it is my mom has been doing it for, I'll just say, a long time. But when she started, women were not allowed to finish. She, when she did the race, she was in high school, and they would stop women at the finish line just because it was an all-men's race. And I found this out this year. She said her father, so my grandfather, who I never got to know, sadly, told her, if you're going to do this, you best damn well finish the race and burst through the finish line. So it's kind of a neat little thing we do every year. So we'll be doing that. It's supposed to be snowy and icy in Connecticut this year, so that might not be as fun as normal. But then we go to my aunt's house for your basic turkey. I'm a dark meat person. I want that on the record.
Okay.
Me and my sister are the only dark meat people in our family, which is kind of good.
Interesting.
I like the juiciness of it.
Okay.
I don't like the drying it.
Compared
Like you
with
have
the
to
dryness of
add
it. Yeah.
gravy. Like
No,
no,
that's
it's
true.
just get to the juicy parts.
Huh.
And I will ride and die with cranberry sauce, canned cranberry sauce.
Okay.
That's where
Yeah.
the good stuff
Yeah.
is. Stuffing,
Yeah.
rolls,
Yeah.
and apple pie.
Okay.
That
You're
is
an apple pie guy.
I am an apple pie. I don't understand.
Thanksgiving.
Like there was a lot of pie debates on Twitter
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Everybody's just ignoring apple pie. They're like, oh, well, pumpkin is trash, or key lime pie is trash, or whatever.
Huh.
Apple pie is a pie for all of us. In a time we all need to come together. Let's
Baseball.
all come
It's
around.
the second thing in baseball. Apple pie.
Oh, my friend tweeted at me
Chevrolet.
to say, like, you like Bruce Springsteen, you like apple pie, and you write about baseball. You're America personified, and I am okay with that. I am okay with that. It's who I am. It's what I've become in my 26 years of life.
I'm a pumpkin guy. I'm a pumpkin guy at Thanksgiving time.
That's fine. I'm just saying, like, nobody really has a hot take on apple pie.
This is 2016 America. You can't listen to an opinion of mine that differentiates with one of yours and say that's fine.
Yeah,
you can't
without
do that.
like the fire going around me. That's fine. This is fine.
Oh man, obviously I come out here for Thanksgiving. No, ever since I was a kid, we've done Thanksgiving. My mom is from New York City originally. My mom's family still lives here. My sister now lives here with her husband and their baby girl. So we come out here annually for Thanksgiving. I've been doing this my entire life, and so we come here. We go to my aunt's house. My mom, an Italian family. She grew up in East Harlem. This is like the tradition now in the family is Thanksgiving. And I think this year we only have 13 people coming to Thanksgiving, but we usually have almost 2 times as many side dishes as we have people, which is the dumbest thing in the world. So we'll have turkey, but in addition to that, we'll have like 22 to 26 side dishes, which is the dumbest thing on earth. But I'm a stuffing guy. Yeah. That's my thing first and foremost. I feel like I don't really take a side in the white meat or the dark meat debate. I enjoy both. I think they're both terrific. And I am also fascinated by the fact that they can both come from the same animal. That kind of blows my mind. Like they're that good, but they're all contained in one turkey, which is very weird. But I like that facet of the light meat that you have to have the gravy for it. That I enjoy.
That's fine. I have nothing against gravy. It's just like when you are adding one substance to another substance to get a substance that already exists.
True.
Like I'd rather just already have the option on the plate. That's all I'm saying.
I keep saying light instead of white meat. By the way, I kept saying light meat, like as if it was the dark meat with less sugar and calories.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, it's a light. This is the light
option.
meat.
It's LITE too because of branding purposes.
But so I am I'm a stuffing guy, and I am the same way. I'm a canned cranberry guy. I'm okay with cranberry sauce that's made. I'm okay with it, but I generally go with the canned thing, which is weird because that's not usually the way that I do things food-wise.
That's fine.
But it's Thanksgiving, man. Thanksgiving also the only meal in which I'm okay with just everything on my plate running together.
Yes.
Normally I have a big issue with that. Like, especially if I'm having, like, let's say an Italian dinner, and I'm having, like, pasta with sauce, and I have a salad on the same plate. I rigorously defend the line between the salad and the pasta, because I can't get the sauce on my salad. I can't have warm sauce on a cold salad. No. But Thanksgiving, everything the cranberry runs on the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the stuffing, it all gets together. It's the greatest thing in the world.
And then you have leftovers where you literally just put all of that onto a sandwich.
Did you confuse it with your own sandwich with the Moist Maker? High five to anyone who's laughing at my terrible Friends reference from 1999. So that'll get us out of this week's edition of the Show Before the Show podcast. But hey, we're talking about things we're thankful for and food we like. It's the first time I've smiled in 2 weeks. It's a good thing. Hey, thanks, buddy. I'm thankful for you, Sam.
I know. I'm thankful.
We're gonna go hang out after this, which is even cooler.
Even
we're
rarer.
Breaking the fourth wall of the podcast.
We're gonna have our own Thanksgiving. Sort of.
Yeah, absolutely, we are. I don't think a podcast can have 4 walls. It's only audio. Bye, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Love you. Talk to you next week.